Martha Jenkins was 78 years old, widowed for exactly 9 months, and sitting in the waiting room of the small clinic in Bozeman, Montana, when her phone rang. The number was her son Travis's. She answered with the quiet hope that always flickered in her chest when he called, even though those calls had grown rarer over the years. "Mom," Travis said, his voice clipped and businesslike, the way it got when he was excited about a new deal. "I've got news. Me and Kayla are moving forward on the ski resort project in Aspen. We closed the sale on the ranch this morning. The money's already wired. It's enough to get us started. You'll be fine, you can move into that little apartment in town we looked at last summer. We'll help you get settled before we leave." Martha stared at the cracked linoleum floor. The ranch. 3,000 acres of rolling hills, pine forests, and the wide sky her husband Hank had loved more than anything except her and their boy. The place where Hank had proposed to her 56 years ago, under a cottonwood by the creek. The place where Travis had learned to ride, rope, and swear like a cowboy before he decided cities were where real money was made. "You sold the ranch," she said softly. "Yeah, Mom. It's just land sitting there. We got a great offer, cash, no contingencies. You don't need all that space anymore. Dad's gone, and you can't run it alone." Martha closed her eyes. She could picture Hank's hands, rough and sunbrowned, the day he'd pressed a thick manila envelope into hers 3 days before the massive heart attack that took him. "Put this in your top drawer, darling," he'd said. "Don't open it till you're ready. And only if you need it." She'd forgotten about it in the blow of grief. But now, sitting in that sterile waiting room surrounded by coughing strangers, she remembered. "I understand," she told Travis. "Safe travels." She hung up before he could say anything else. The doctor told her she was healthy for her age, just needed to watch her blood pressure and eat more greens. Martha nodded, smiled politely, and took the bus home. The old Ford pickup Hank had treasured was gone too. Travis had mentioned in passing that he'd sold it for a little extra cash. She didn't ask questions then. She didn't cry now. When she stepped into the small ranch house that had been hers and Hank's for half a century, the silence pressed in. But for the first time since the funeral, it didn't feel like defeat. It felt like possibility. She went straight to the bedroom, opened the top drawer of her dresser, and pulled out the envelope. Hank's careful block letters spelled her name across the front. Inside were deeds, mineral rights documents, bank statements, and a letter in his familiar scrawl. "My dearest Martha. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I kept secrets, but I wanted to protect you from worry. You know I worked the ranch every day. But what you don't know is that 30 years ago I started buying up grazing leases and mineral rights when no one else saw the value. The oil and natural gas under our land and the surrounding sections, it's worth more than either of us ever dreamed. The ranch itself is only the surface. There's a company, Jenkins Legacy Holdings, set up in your name alone. You own it all. The ranch, the minerals, the adjacent parcels are quietly acquired over the years. The current valuation is north of $40 million, and climbing. I didn't tell Travis. You know how he is, always chasing the next big thing, never content with what's under his feet. I wanted him to love this land for what it is, not what it could buy him. Use this however you see fit, my love. You've earned every bit of it. All my love, forever. Hank." Martha sat on the edge of the bed they'd shared for decades and let the tears come, not for Hank's death, but for the depth of his love and foresight. When the tears dried, something hard and bright settled in her chest. She made 2 phone calls that afternoon. The first was to Charles Whitlock, the family lawyer who'd handled Hank's estate. The second was to an old friend who ran a private investigation firm in Billings. Over the next weeks, Martha moved quietly. Charles confirmed everything in the envelope was legal and airtight. Jenkins' legacy holdings was hers alone. Travis had no claim. The sale of the ranch had been executed through a forged power of attorney. Travis had convinced her to sign some routine paperwork during her grief-fogged months after Hank's death. It wouldn't hold up. The private investigator confirmed what Martha already suspected. Travis and his wife Kayla had sunk every dollar from the ranch sale into a luxury ski lodge development in Aspen. They'd taken out massive loans against the projected value. Construction was already underway. They were living large, Instagram photos of champagne toasts and private jets. Martha didn't confront them. She waited. She hired a discreet ranch management company to keep the cattle fed and the fences mended. She stayed in the little house, kept her routines. Neighbors clucked sympathetically about poor Martha losing the ranch and brought casseroles. She accepted them with quiet thanks and a small, secret smile. 6 months later, the Aspen real estate bubble popped. Luxury ski homes weren't selling. Investors pulled out. Travis's development went belly up. Creditors circled. The phone call came on a snowy October evening. "Mom," Travis said, and his voice cracked on the single word. "We're coming home." The project, it fell through. "We lost everything. The banks are foreclosing. Can we stay at the ranch for a while? Just till we get back on our feet." Martha looked out the window at the snow dusting the cottonwoods. "The ranch was sold, Travis. You told me so yourself." There was a long pause. We might be able to get it back. The buyers are having second thoughts. Maybe we can work something out." Martha almost laughed. The buyers, shell companies she controlled through Jenkins' legacy, had never intended to keep it. "Come on home, son," she said gently. "We'll figure it out." They arrived 2 days later in a rented SUV packed with designer suitcases and defeated faces. Kayla's Botox couldn't hide the strain. Travis looked 10 years older than his 48 years. Martha greeted them on the porch with coffee and homemade biscuits, the picture of forgiving maternal warmth. The first week was awkward. Travis paced, made frantic phone calls to lawyers and bankers. Kayla scrolled real estate listings for apartments in Denver, muttering about starting over. Martha watched and waited. On the 10th day, a letter arrived, delivered by certified mail to Travis and Kayla. Eviction notice. 30 days to vacate the premises of the Jenkins Ranch, property of Jenkins Legacy Holdings, LLC. Travis stormed into the kitchen waving the paper. "Mom, what the hell is this? Some corporation is evicting us from our own ranch." Martha sipped her tea. "It's not your ranch anymore, Travis. You sold it. But we're family. We have nowhere to go." Martha set her cup down. "You had somewhere to go 6 months ago. Aspen, I believe." Kayla started crying. Travis's face went red, then white. That night, Martha called Charles Whitlock. "It's time." The next morning, Travis received another envelope. This one contained copies of the forged power of attorney, the fraudulent sale documents, and a polite, but firm letter from the district attorney's office indicating potential charges of elder financial abuse and fraud. Travis found Martha in the barn, feeding the horses. "Mom, did you do this?" Martha stroked the neck of Hank's old gelding. "I protected what was mine, same as your daddy always did." Travis sank onto a hay bale. "We're ruined. The banks, the creditors, we're going to lose everything." Martha looked at him for a long moment. "Everything?" He nodded miserably. "Good," she said quietly. Travis stared at her, stunned. Martha continued, "You took everything from me when I was grieving. My home, my truck, my memories. You didn't even ask. You decided I was done, that I didn't need it anymore. Now you know how that feels." Kayla appeared in the doorway, eyes swollen. Mrs. Jenkins. Martha, we are so sorry. We were stupid. Greedy? Please. Martha held up a hand. Sorry doesn't buy back trust. But maybe work can start to earn it. She laid out the terms that afternoon. They could stay, but not as owners or guests. As employees. Travis would work as a ranch hand under the foreman. 40 hours a week minimum, starting at dawn. Kayla would handle housekeeping for the main house and any future guest cabins Martha planned to build. Pay would be modest but fair. Room and board included. Any debt they incurred personally remained their responsibility. Martha wouldn't bail them out. If they stayed a full year without complaint, worked honestly, and showed genuine respect, Martha would consider forgiving the fraud and helping them rebuild credit. Maybe even a small stake in future ranch profits. If they left before the year was up, they'd receive nothing but the clothes on their backs and a bus ticket to wherever they wanted to go. Travis opened his mouth to protest, saw the steel in his mother's eyes he hadn't really looked into since he was a boy, and closed it. They stayed. The first months were brutal. Travis, who hadn't done real ranch work since college, woke with blisters and aching muscles. He mucked stalls, fixed fences in freezing wind, branded calves in spring mud. Kayla scrubbed floors, learned to cook for a crew, and discovered the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. Martha watched from a distance at first. She took long rides across the land that was truly hers now, feeling Hank's presence in every ridge and valley. Slowly, things shifted. One evening in late spring, Travis found her on the porch watching the sunset paint the mountains gold. "Mom," he said, hat in hand. "I found something today. Out by the north pasture." Dad's old branding iron, the one with his initials he carved himself. Martha nodded. "I've been thinking," Travis continued, voice rough, "about how he worked this land every day of his life. How he built something real. I spent years chasing paper dreams in cities, thinking I was smarter than him. I wasn't." Martha didn't speak. "I was ashamed of where I came from," he admitted. "Thought ranching was small time. Backward. But this," he gestured at the vast landscape. "This is legacy. This is wealth that matters." Martha finally looked at him. "And what about your mother? Did you think she was small time too?" Travis's eyes filled. "I thought you were, in the way. That you didn't understand progress. I was wrong about everything." Kayla joined them, apron still on from supper. "We both were. We treated you like a burden instead of the strongest person we knew." The apology hung in the air between them. Martha let it sit for a long moment. Then she stood and went inside, returning with 3 glasses and a bottle of Hank's favorite bourbon, the good stuff saved for special occasions. She poured. "To second chances," she said. They drank. Over the next years, the ranch thrived. Travis became the best foreman the place had ever had. He learned sustainable practices, brought in new bloodlines for the cattle, and started a small guest operation, high-end working ranch vacations that brought in serious money. Kayla discovered a talent for hospitality and turned the old bunkhouse into beautiful guest quarters. She also started a garden that supplied the kitchen and local restaurants. Martha remained the quiet owner, making final decisions, but letting them run day-to-day operations. She established the Hank Jenkins Foundation, providing college scholarships for rural Montana kids and support for elderly ranchers facing financial hardship. Travis and Kayla paid off their debts the hard way, one paycheck at a time. They never asked for handouts. One crisp fall day 5 years after the eviction notice, Martha called them both to the main house. She handed Travis a thick envelope, much like the one Hank had given her all those years ago. Inside were papers transferring 40% ownership of Jenkins' legacy holdings to Travis and Kayla jointly, with the remaining 60% in a trust for Martha's lifetime, and then to be divided among future grandchildren. Travis's hands shook as he read. "Mom, why?" Martha smiled, the first full, open smile they'd seen from her in years. "Because you earned it. Not with words or tears, but with sweat and time and changed hearts. Your daddy always believed in second chances. And I believe in you now." Kayla started crying again, but this time they were happy tears. That night, they sat on the porch together, 3 generations of Jenkins, though only 2 remained, watching the stars come out over land that would stay in their family forever. Martha felt Hank beside her, his hand in hers. "We did it, darling," she thought. And somewhere in the Montana night, she could have sworn she heard him answer. "Yes, we did."